Welcome to our episode of Reach Minds, Thoughts for Your Life's Journey podcast. In today's episode, we'll be diving deep into the power of finding your voice and creating your own safe space. We'll be exploring how resilience, self-belief, and those unexpected moments of serendipity can truly transform our lives and empower us to make a courageous choices. Now imagine a life marked by significant challenges, yet defined by unwavering strength. A life where a chance encounter on a plane would spark a profound transformation. That's exactly what happened to our guest today. I'm joined by Sangita Marda Agarwal, a woman whose story is a testament to the human spirit. 8 years ago, on a flight back from Heathrow, Sangita picked up the Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In book. Little did she know that book would ignite a passion that has shaped her life ever since. Before we delve into the incredible work with Lean In, we want to understand Sangita's remarkable journey that has brought her so far today. Sangita is a sunrise lover and a storyteller. The story begins 57 years ago when she was adopted by a remarkable couple. Adopting a female in those days was pretty phenomenal. She enjoyed a privileged upbringing, lots of love, and a solid education. However, her life took a devastating turn when her parents passed just when she was 21 years old. And soon she found herself in a marriage marked by domestic violence and abuse for 8 long years. Trapped by financial dependence, which crushed her self-confidence and self-esteem. She's had an impressive 29 years career in sales, marketing, and communication across 3 major companies. In complement to this, for the last 8 years, Sangita has been involved in the Lean In the Mumbai network, which has had a great impact for herself and for those around her. Welcome, Sangita.
Thank you so much, Nita.
My first question to you is, with your remarkable story around resilience, when did you first become aware of your own strength and self-belief?
So firstly, Nita, I'd like to say thank you. I'm super excited to be on this podcast. I had gone through a couple of your podcasts and I found them so inspiring. And I'm absolutely humbled that you thought that I could come and speak to the listeners. And thank you for that introduction. Your words were really kind. If there was one way to describe myself, apart from a storyteller, I would say I'm a sunrise lover. And, all my stories somehow link to the sun. And a little bit about this, I'm going to add once I get into a conversation with you.
When did you become aware of your own strength and self-belief?
I'm going to take you back a little. I'm going to actually take you back about 28 years. When I was about 28, this was, I think the year was 1996. I was a young mother. My little one was 2 years old and my elder one was about 4 years of age. And I shared with you that at that time, in fact, from the second day of my marriage, when I realized that I was married to a very extremely violent man, I was a 28-year-old girl with 2 daughters. I was trapped in an abusive marriage. All that I wanted, Nita, was somehow to earn a little money because I thought that if I can become financially independent, maybe I can start living independently and give my daughters a life of dignity and give myself a life of dignity. So the story really is twofold. I was given an opportunity. A very kind co sister of mine introduced me to an opportunity where I could sell children's educational products, children's books. What, however, I did not know was this was a door to door selling opportunity. But because I was so desperate to work, I said, I'm going to take the training and I'm going to do, I don't mind, I could become a door to door sales girl. So, what I used to do was drop my girls to the play school, and then I would go around the neighborhood knocking on doors, trying to talk to young mothers and sell them these books. Now, we all know what happens to people who knock on doors, at least in India
Yes.
at that time. 9 out of 10 doors are shut on your face. So it takes a lot of beating, it takes a lot of self respect to absorb that. At that point, all that I felt was humiliated. And I said, how am I going to do this? Because I can't do a full time job because my girls are too small. I can't leave them at home. The only time that I have is these 3 to 4 hours when they are in their play school. That's the only time I can work. So I have to take up this part time opportunity. And that's when I read a book. This was on sales, and it said that when a customer tells you no, when a prospect or a client tells you no, they are not telling you a no, they are telling no either to the product or they are telling no because they can't afford it. So it could be a price issue or a value issue. Nita, this perception changed my mind. I learned to take myself away from the no and not take it as a matter of self respect and just go and knock on the second door. The reason why I'm telling you this story is in less than 5 years, actually, because of my sales trajectory and growth, and because the company where I was a sales girl had a very interesting growth pattern, in less than 5 years, I was actually the regional head of that company. And I also became the national sales trainer there. And one of the most important thing that I took with me, which I taught to over 1,000 sales performers in the next 13 years of my career with that company, is don't take a no personally. So this was one of the moments that I know was the defining moment of my life.
It sounds to me that this also became an anchor for you in how you move forward.
Absolutely. My work was a big anchor for me because I lived a dual life. At work, I soon became the confident salesperson that I was, talking to parents about the value of education. But when I went back home, it was a different story for me because I lived with a person who not only disrespected me, but disrespected women. But work at this time was my anchor. My second anchor definitely was a very kind friend. She helped me through the most difficult times in my life. And she's the first person who made me realize that if a woman can help a woman, incredible things can happen in life. So I would definitely put these two things as the biggest anchor of my life during that period.
So, how did you navigate yourself out of moving through your relationship and being living separately from your husband?
As I started scaling up the ladder at my workplace, obviously a little bit of money started trickling in, and money can give you a lot of confidence. I knew that financial independence is the only way to empower a person to take her own decisions. And one day I decided that I'm going to walk out. I did not walk out, Nita. I actually ran away because I was living with a very dangerous man. So
Mm.
one day when he went to work, I just picked up my children's clothes, there's books, and a few essentials. I packed them literally in two suitcases. I called a cab and I walked out of that home. I went to their school because that was the time the school was getting over. I picked them up and I went to this friend's place that I'm talking about, who helped me during my difficult times. So that's how my journey actually started. It sounds difficult to believe, but after I walked out, my ex-husband never bothered to get in touch with his children, or he never bothered to get in touch with me. I met him only later in the court when I was signing my paper. Apart
Hmm.
from that, we just had a few conversations over telephone.
And at the time you were living in Kolkata, but had you moved to Mumbai by then, or were you still in Kolkata?
I was in Kolkata. I lived in
Right.
Kolkata till my 40s, and I moved to Mumbai only in my 40s. That's when I pivoted my life again. And that's another story because when there was so much that had happened to my life, losing my parents in my early 20s, being in an abusive, violent marriage for 8 years, can play havoc with a woman's body and mind. But of course, the good fortune was that when I was a single mom, I met somebody amazing. We were friends for a few years, and then we decided to get married. Getting married to him gave me a lot of peace, solace, and gave my children a secure home because they were very close. They still are very close to him, but it played havoc with my mind and body. Around 2010, I got an opportunity to work in Mumbai. That's when I moved to Mumbai, and that's when the second phase of my life started.
Tell us about that phase and the moment also at the Heathrow airport where you found or you happened to pick up Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In.
Sure, that's a fascinating phase in my life, Neeta. The reason because 40s are not a forgiving phase for a woman who's gone through so much. And I was experiencing a lot of bodily changes. And of course, I was going through very acute symptoms of perimenopause. It's the time I took an opportunity where I had to move to Mumbai and I had to travel a lot. I was traveling to all these countries, but I used to feel very lonely in Mumbai because I did not have any friends, nobody to talk to. And when you're already in your 40s, there's very less opportunity for you to make friends because you don't have young kids so that you can make friends with their friends' parents, etc. Monday to Friday, it was excellent, but weekends were very lonely. And I used to wonder, where can I find women whom I can have a cerebral connect with? Same time, Neeta, I had never forgiven the kindness of those two women in my life back in Kolkata, one who had been my anchor during difficult times, and the other woman who had given me the work opportunity which changed my life. And I knew that I want to pay this forward. Someday in my life, I want to create an ecosystem. I want to create a safe space where urban educated women like me, who have so many challenges in their personal as well as professional life, could find a safe space to share, discuss their challenges, and even celebrate their small or big triumphs. But I did not know how would I create that space or where would I create that space. I distinctly remember this was around 2016, and I had gone to London to for a meeting. And when I was coming back, I was at the Heathrow airport, and as always I do, I love to visit big bookstores. So I walked into this place which had some books, and I was trying to look at something that I can pick up, and there was a book sitting there, and it just struck me, and I picked it up, and it said Women Work and the Will to Lead, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And I picked up that book. And all throughout the flight, I was just reading that book, Neeta. I had a highlighter in my bag. I was furiously highlighting lines, and I felt that the book was talking to me. I so distinctly remember there was a particular line which said that I don't know how you do it all. The answer is I don't. That's something that struck me. The second sentence that struck me was that we need to start valuing ourselves and not just our work. And I thought women don't self value themselves at all. Whenever we succeed or whenever we do something good, we attribute it to external factors. We say that, oh, this person helped me. Oh, I just got lucky. They never accept a compliment. They never value themselves. And there were so many other things like this, Neeta. When I came back to Mumbai, the first thing that I did was I went online and I tried to look for linen circles, what Cheryl speaks about in her book, that you can create small circles for women where they can come, meet, and empower each others. And that's when I decided that, okay, let's create Lean in Mumbai. So when I went online, I saw that there's already a page called Lean in Mumbai. And there were two, three women who were part of this circle, and they were meeting on a Saturday afternoon. I went to this meeting, I signed up, I went to this meeting, and they said, we are also meeting for the second time. We've also read the book. We want to create a circle, but we don't know how to go about it. And I just raised my hand and I said, if you all are okay, I'd love to do it. And that's how my journey for Lean started. It's been 8 years now. It's a space where today, more than 2,000 women professionals living in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai are connected. A lot of them are from senior leadership space. A lot of them are mid age in their career, and a lot of them are early age starters. But it's a beautiful, safe ecosystem where there's so much peer to peer mentorship, there's camaraderie, there's support. And I don't know how, but Neeta, this is the space that I wanted to create to pay it forward to those two women. And that's what I did.
There was almost a priming phase you went through, which was in search and a need for women's connection in Mumbai, and then finding the Sandberg book brought things together, and the rest evolved with you taking a very key role in it. So you were not only giving a voice to yourself, it sounds to me, and you were also giving a voice to other women who were professionals. As you said, they were in mid career. And actually, I think one of the things you touched on is honoring the two women who supported you in your important, challenging times of your life journey. So that's really wonderful to hear that, and the gratitude that I think you're expressing through what you've just shared. In terms of people who don't know the Lean In network, because I hadn't heard of it until I had a conversation with you, tell me what their kind of mission is in regards to what they are there to achieve.
Essentially, is a part of the Lean Foundation, which is started by Sheryl Sandberg. And the mission is to build an equal world. The mission is to build a world where more women and more girls assume leadership position and they rule not just their homes and companies, but even countries. So that really is the overall mission of Lean. At a macro level, at the hyperlocal level, Lean has communities, community networks. There are networks in campuses, and there are also networks in companies. What I drive as Lean in Mumbai is a community-based network which is based in Mumbai. And similarly, there are over 100 networks globally and almost about 1 lakh 5,000 circles in 143 countries around the world. So it really is a global movement, and we are very well connected. The network leaders around the globe, we are a part of a network leader program. We are given a lot of training. So it's very structured, it's very process driven, and it's all there on the Leanin website,
Yeah.
leanin.org. If anybody wants to know more about Leanin, if she wants to be a part of a circle, or she wants to create her own circle, all she needs to do is to go on the website. There are free trainings every month about forming circles. Apart from this, there are lots of programs to bring in cultural changes. So there is something called 50 Ways to Fight Bias. There is something called allyship for, how to be a better ally. So these are to bring in cultural and systemic changes. And also, the foundation has now started something called Lean In Girls. So these are curriculum to empower young girls from the age of 8 onwards.
Very good. So, a question for me, and I know that the book obviously originates from the US. I'm really curious how the concepts of leaning from there, how are they culturated within the Indian context?
That's a very interesting question. There are two sides to it. The first being in India now, especially in the urban cities, the one and the two tier cities,
Mm,
they've become very global now. So a
mm.
lot of challenges that the urban educated women face in these cities is similar to the challenges that women anywhere in the world face.
Such
Of course,
as?
uh,
I'd love to know before we go into the second one.
absolutely. So I would say, firstly, all women face imposter syndrome. They just don't realize their worth. They don't want to give credit to their worth. They always think that, oh, I achieved this because I got lucky or because somebody helped me. And it's only in the third phase that they attribute it to their own hard work. So, how to fight this imposter syndrome is something that one of the modules of Lean In talks to you very well. For instance, how do you assert yourself if you're the only woman in the room? And that happens in India all the time. For performing women, for every 20 men in the room, she's perhaps the only woman. So, how do you speak up confidently? So, that's another thing that Lenin talks a lot about. Lenin also talks about things like pay disparity. And I can't even tell you how true it is for India, because for the same work that a woman does, that a man does, the man is paid better. And not just paid better, but far better. So there is a module in Lean which talks to the women about how do you speak about this? How do you speak up about this? Because the first thing is to understand that there is a pay disparity. A lot of women don't even understand that. They've just accepted it that a man is going to be paid more than her. So there are many such similar things at the work scenario. In the cultural or the non work scenario, one thing that is really prominently coming up in India is women are empowering themselves through education and by working, and financial freedom is giving them the choice to make a choice about their life. Otherwise, earlier, India was predominantly patriarchal in setup. And women were expected to live their life out of a set box line. For instance, from 0 to 20, you study, between 20 to 25, you get married, between 25 to 30, you have children. And then once you've become a mother, if your husband or your in-laws let you work, then you decide what you're going to do with your life after 30. This was the set pattern. But because women are now educated, they are making informed choices. In fact, there's a very interesting thing that Sheryl Sandberg writes in her book, and she says the most important career choice you will make is who you marry. And that's so true. Because if you don't have a good partner, everything can crash in life. But financial empowerment gives women the choice to make a choice for her life partner. So these are some of the things, which are coming to light.
And how does, I guess there's the urban tier one and two, and I guess India is still largely a rural society. How is that message going into the rural areas which are less urbanized, or is that purely, tier one and twos?
There's a very interesting aspect about India, Neeta, which you would have noticed in the last 20 years. And most importantly, in the last 15 years, is that India has become hugely digital. I
Mm,
think digitally, it's one of the most advanced countries in the world. What has happened is that information is no more the clutches of the privileged. Because of the internet accessibility down to the last frontier of the country, everybody has access to information and education through their digital connectivity. So a lot of issues also now, which were primarily a issue of a one tier or a two tier society, have now percolated down to the three tier also. Having said that, I do agree that the rural structure is different from the urban structure, but because my lived experiences are of the challenges that an urban educated woman faces, I have chosen to work primarily for that ecosystem.
yeah.
Not saying that I wouldn't like to do something if I got an opportunity, I definitely would also for the rural woman.
As we bring our conversation to a close, Sangita, what resources or tips could you offer people who maybe are at a junction in their life and facing personal challenges?
Sunita, I look a lot inward whenever I need to fill myself up. And of course, talking to other people, talking to a sane voice always helps. But I take a lot of help from books, from podcasts, or I watch a lot of movies.
Anything else that you would like to share with people about how they can build their own resilience and really go towards self discovery?
I would love to share just one mantra, Neeta, that is believe in yourself.
Okay.
Even when nothing is going right, you have yourself and don't lose your self power. Because I feel that if I could do it, any woman can do it. It's
Yeah.
only about self belief. I was at a juncture where I had nothing, I had no self respect. I had my confidence was shattered. I had no money. I had no parents. I had no home. I was a single mother. I had two girls to look after. And while somebody may have thought that this is the end to life, I thought maybe this could be the beginning. So I think self belief is most important for you to take you anywhere that you wanted to go in
Yeah.
life.
Gita, this has been a lovely, warm hearted journey, hearing your discovery and your impact that you're having and have had on people around you, empowering women, getting them to finding your voice, and the enormous gratitude that you give to those who helped you along your journey. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Neeta. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
If you're interested in working with me, connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or www.neetasharma.com. And if you enjoyed the podcast, why not consider subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you have access to your podcast, and leave a review.